I'm not even gonna go through them, but,
There's a quiz this time.
given the large gallery, if you need to say something, just raise your hand. I'm sure we'll recognize you and do that. I've been trying to decide clear up until now, how to approach what we've got left. We've got 5 pages worth of code left. I really think we can kind of just power through that tonight and be done with that segment. We've been working on this since before Christmas, and it really is time to bring this thing to closure. So what I would like to propose is that either the opponents start and give their recommendations on a certain section, or the opponents start. I don't care who goes first or who goes second. And then we get Darren to record all that, and then we move on to the next one. And just find out what the chasm is between what one side wants and what the other side wants. And then after we get through to the next 5 pages, then we'll go back, probably listen to the forum and get information from there, and then come back and decide where we go from there. Is that a plan? Okay.
I just wanted, I know that you were out of town, but when we did the county, we'll say site visit, your tour.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know if anybody had, I mean, I can tell you what my thoughts are, and I lived there, but it was very overwhelming for me. And I just wanted to know if.
Can we say that until we get through the 5 pages, and then we'll have as much time as we want to talk about that?
Yeah, I was just, as far as setbacks is what I was.
And I think we'll have some more people show up by the time we get here. So who do you guys want to go first and say what you think?
I guess I don't even know where we're at.
We're on 14-701, and A has some setbacks minimums that it talks about. And again, whoever wants to go first can go first, and the other can go second. But I guess the question to the opponents of the code is 25 feet okay, or would you like it something else?
We're actually at
14-701.
14-701, number 3. Because I've got changes down to number 3.
Oh, you do? Okay, so we're at 3.
Would you want to read off what the changes are starting at 701, just so we kind of know where we're at?
So
We've kind of split this one over multiple.
in the buffer plan, taking out C, which was a minimum 2,500 foot setback from the property line of any commercial or utility solar permitted by conditional use permit issued by Linn County from the property lines where they meet up.
Okay.
And then the other change was section 3, number B, instead of 500 foot, a minimum of 1,000 foot setback from any solar permitted area to a residential dwelling, or 500 feet from property line, whichever one is greater.
Say that again, 500, because I thought we had agreed 1,000 feet from property lines.
1,000 feet from the actual home or residence. And
No, I thought we talked about property
We
lines.
talked about it, we never.
It was home, it was a house.
it was
That's-
500 feet from property lines and then 1,000 feet from a residence.
Then I would like to discuss that.
Whatever was farther.
Or whichever is greater.
Right. Well, give us what you want.
A
That's
thousand,
kind of what we're gonna do.
1,000
foot.
feet. But I thought we had talked about if you had not a participating, but a homeowner that lived next to the property that didn't care, they could say, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
They can, yeah. You can opt out of the buffer.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so Darren, I'm sorry, I got this started in the wrong place. Where are we at right now? Are we on 701 2B?
701 3B.
3B, that's what I meant, yeah, okay. So, screening, if existing vegetation is inadequate, blah, 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 the applicant will provide a triple row of trees and shrubs planted at 10-foot centers, on 10-foot centers. Planted trees and shrubs shall be approximately 6 foot in height at the time of planting. Opposition.
Wait a second, Rich, where are you at?
I'm on 701,
701B.
701B, right?
3.
701A
Subsection.
3B.
Not the subsection.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I'm not sorry.
Did we not do-
We're good, nope, okay, you're good, my bad.
Okay, so you guys, what you say on the 10-foot centers and the 6 feet high at time of planting? You want bigger,
On the tree
less?
size?
Yeah, on the tree. We're on B here.
Yeah, I'd like 15 foot.
That they said the panels will be 15 feet.
Yeah. Okay, so 15 foot.
Maximum
Darren's our recorder, so Darren, you got
maximum
that?
height of the panels is 15 feet and in most vertical positions.
And proponents, what do you think?
I think 15 feet at the time of planting is a huge undertaking.
Okay,
Depends on what they plant. I think, I mean, there's some trees, they are very slow growers. I mean, I think that it depends on what is in the buffer.
It's just a matter of how do you plant a 15-foot tall tree and then 10 feet on center, 3 rows deep. It's going to be a tremendous amount of
so
fade moving trees. These are feet.
So I want to stay away from that kind of discussion because we'll do that all later. Right now, I just want to know what you guys think and what you guys think. Are the proponents good with the numbers as they exist?
So are we not doing it like we always have? I mean, we've always kind of just come to our.
No, we're gonna get this thing done because we've been over 2 months now. So I want to get this thing done, and then we can come back
So
and
this doesn't mean it's actually going to be a solar field. We're done. All we're doing is putting the stickers together.
I know, I want to do it right and take our time, so I'm not trying to be difficult. I was just curious.
I think, Rich, we're kind of wanting to get it wrapped up, aren't you?
yeah, we need to bring some closure to this
I
thing.
think it's a
So
problem.
So you're wanting to have all of this done before the forum?
Tonight.
we got 4.5 pages left today. I want to do them tonight. We can do that.
Okay, so all,
Because I want to know what you guys think, and then I want to know what you guys think. Darren's going to record it all, and then we'll talk about the difference, the chasm, and try to find common ground on that later. But we did these meetings where I've been trying to find common ground. It's just on and on and on, and it's not benefiting anybody. We just need to get this done.
I think it's been going very well.
yeah, I mean, I thought we'd been doing well. I mean, I thought we had agreed that we had a year.
We've spent 3 meetings on this very section. We haven't got anything done.
Because that is the most important to us.
I will.
So tell us what you think. They can tell us what we think, and then we can work on the difference later.
We also spent a lot of time on it because of the meeting. It wasn't just a section.
But he's not, is he sitting in for Pro Solar? He keeps saying the Pro Solar
No,
people.
no,
So I just want to make sure that,
You're a
okay.
zoning committee member. Okay. All right. So Dustin, you're the only one here for the proponents. You like them the way they are, or you want something different?
I guess I do understand what you're saying with the, I guess we're not doing this. Sorry, never mind.
Dustin,
I would say we eliminate the requirement for height of tree at time of planting.
okay. You got that, Darren? Anything else on that one? Okay. Anything on the next section, C? Modified setbacks and screening.
Rich, I'm really not trying to be difficult here, but when we go from no height to 15-foot height, I feel like discussion is very important because we will.
And we'll do that later. We just need to get the chasm, the difference between the two established so we can go back and do whatever talking we want to do. I think having the forum in between will be a good for us too.
I just don't understand the complete change in trying to hurry and us changing the whole process the way we've been doing. I thought it's been.
What don't you understand?
I don't understand of what's changed of why we're doing it so different.
Because we've been 3 meetings, we've made no progress. We need to make progress.
But we haven't made progress because we've worked on doing the open forum on the last 2 of them for the most part. I'm just very confused with it all.
What can I do to lessen that confusion for you?
Well, I'm not
I'm
really.
trying to be very clear about where I want to go.
I understand that, but I also think that I understand you're the chair and you run this, but I feel like we're uprooting the way we were doing it out of nowhere, and I'm a little shocked by it.
Okay,
I wasn't
I can
prepared
accept
to
that.
come in and railroad
I
it.
can accept that, but I'm going to chair this the way think it needs to be chaired. Okay, back to C. Any other comments? Okay, we're on to 14-A, 801. All applicants for conditional use permit shall submit with their site plan a plan for roads and maintenance. Any variation of that, either one side wants?
What if there's stuff we wanted added in that's not in this? Is that to be discussed at a later time too?
No, that, we can do that now.
I've been listening.
Pardon?
I've been listening.
Oh, okay. Let's go through 14-801, and then we'll circle back to whatever you want to add. So any changes to A? This is really kind of pretty straightforward stuff. Hearing none. B. Again, it's hard to argue with that. C, maintenance agreement with Linn County. And,
Well, I have some
okay,
So in Indiana's codes, or they have the road bond. Kind of like we do. You want to come over here and use the mic so everyone can hear you?
yeah.
Sure. All right, so
Al, you can actually sit here if you want.
That was going really fast. I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
So
so I can't even read.
this was
and
on,
read my notes.
are we on 14.8C, right?
Yes,
Okay. A road maintenance agreement with Linn County for the maintenance and repair of roads and bridges and rights of way during the construction and decommissioning stages agreement shall require the applicant, its successor, to timely restore public roads, bridges, right of ways to the condition they were in prior to construction at the expense of the applicant. Okay, so right there, I want the applicant to actually post a bond. We want a surety bond
Okay.
on roads.
all right. All right, sounds good.
Now,
Got that, Darren?
Isn't that a negotiation with the commissioners?
No,
No.
I want it in the regulations.
Yeah.
Done.
Okay, Dustin,
thoughts, opinions?
We already have a bond section set out in the decommissioning costs, correct?
right.
So are you thinking that the bond is for the roads that were damaged during
During
construction?
construction, yes. We already have an issue with the county with roads and gravel, and I don't know how, maybe you could say like however many feet on the gravel they're going to be. A lot of the paved roads are gonna be in that area taken care of. So the one that goes across to the power plant would be maintained by the power plant. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then the other one is KDOT. So those are the two paved roads. We don't have to worry about that. But the actual gravel roads, I feel like we need to go ahead and post a bond
Gotcha,
on the gravel.
gotcha, okay.
And Darren, we were talking about this before, when you have a bond for the decommissioning, the bonds that we deal with in our business are 1 year. Are there longer bonds, or is this for this decommissioning one also?
I think it says the life of the project.
Right.
Do they have to renew it each year?
They have to come in, I think it says I'm trying to find it. There is a time frame. It's every 3 or 5 years. They have to come in and redo the bond.
If for some reason something happens with the business and there is not a renewal, does that void the conditional use permit?
Yep, anything that they don't follow in a conditional use permit by either renewing something or not doing what they've been instructed to do, they can be taken to court.
Okay.
It's every 5 years.
It says applicants shall maintain the bond throughout the lifespan of the project, and the bondholder shall provide the county board annual notification of bond status, and also provide board 30 days notice of any bond cancellation. So that's pretty well covered in section 1201.
At 110%.
But does that apply to the roads, or is that just the permit areas?
It's just the permit.
That's financial agreements and insurances. I mean, that's really inclusive. So anywhere we say there's bonds, it has to follow these bond rules.
do we think we need to add that, or are we comfortable just having that assumed?
Or in C, but, the expenses of this would, fall under the bond in 14-2 or 14-12.
Right.
So we're thinking about using one bond for both?
I guess.
Is that possible?
Yeah, I don't even know if legally that's possible.
Because you're dealing with roads versus leased land.
I would rather have it be individual. That way, if they aren't following one, we don't have to go after them for both.
Right.
Seems a little cleaner, but
Because with the equipment and everything they bring in, those roads are gonna have huge wear and tear.
Okay, any other opposition here? Any other changes to 14-801?
On D, it says applicant shall construct the smallest possible number of access roads onto public roads. So when we're talking about just Yancey Road, that's the only road in this necessarily project that's gonna be affected. You're saying throughout, they can do as many as they want, essentially. You're not putting a max. I mean, shall construct the least amount possible. What does that really mean?
It would be entrances on and off Yancey Road, so that can be, so that would come under negotiations of the road maintenance agreement. Because they can tell them what routes they can and can't take off, even all the way out to 69 Highway. You can only use this road to bring material in, and you can only access your property at 2 points.
And where is that at again?
Well, D on this section says applicants shall construct the smallest possible number of access roads onto public roads.
So that's giving the applicant free range.
That would be under
Darren.
the planning and zoning directorship to set those rules.
Something like that, not something put to where it'd be reviewed at the application by planning and zoning, like to where they'd have to have it prior to.
You want to add that?
Or could we just add, like with their site plan, they have to submit the proposal with the planned roads that they're gonna add? That,
I would like to see that. Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that'd be a good idea.
And then if that's not what they do, then they need to bring it back to you guys to review it maybe?
So leave this as it is and then add to the end of it a proposed,
However many,
proposed access roads that are included.
in the site plan?
in the Site plan approved by the, yep.
Is that okay?
All right. Anything else on that section? Let's move to 14-9, operation and maintenance plan. 14-901 talks about applicants for conditional use permit shall submit with their site plan, all the rest, A 1 through 5. There's, first one talks about flora and vegetation, the second one talks about endangered species, third talks about disturbance of soil, fourth talks about removal of trees to be minimal, and fifth one is adverse impacts upon the quality of groundwater resources.
I had a note from a past discussion in this section about herbicide, but I didn't put enough context in there to remind myself. I'm assuming either we want disclosed use of herbicide or some sort of discussion in their plans about how they're going to use herbicide in this context.
I would say it
Anybody else
needs to
remember?
be, it needs to be applied by a licensed applicator. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, I think that's good.
You got a license?
I don't,
Charlene, you're the one that had concerns on that. You brought that up before.
On the herbicide, I think that it should be limited if it was necessary.
I guess whenever we're talking about number one, critical habitat and habitat conditions for such species, I feel like right there, that's when you need to add in the Kansas Wildlife and Parks. They need to be able to provide, before you guys make a decision on a conditional use permit, all the documentation that they like.
We required that they would, that the professional organizations or whatever would do that. I thought we really, I thought that was part of the application. Am I wrong? I remember that.
Don't know if that was covered
I
earlier.
can't find Kansas Wildlife and Parks.
So in 14.4, it says the planning commission may request a review of any other county officials, a Kansas licensed professional engineer and/or other third parties in determining compliance of the application of these regulations.
Okay, we could put Kansas wildlife in there if we wanted to in that part, but I mean, I thought that was what that meant. I thought we made a proper thing to do that.
I mean, I think that,
So I hear you guys saying you'd like to add the Kansas Wildlife.
I feel like it should be
Absolutely.
required because I don't want a third party.
Yeah.
I'd rather use Kansas Wildlife and Parks.
Got that, Darren? Dustin, any comments toward that?
For one,
Not at this time.
Okay.
number 2, same, Kansas Wildlife and Parks.
For the disturbance to the soil, I think that there needs to be that, because there's nothing preventing the solar companies from going in there and just completely taking the land down, moving the trees.
KDHE will,
They will do that?
yep, they'll have to come out and do soil tests. They'll tell them what trees can and can't be removed. Because KDHE will do a whole survey of the land, and if they'll take into consider water runoff, if they have to build retention ponds, anything like that.
Can we put that in there then?
Yeah, I think what I put, so in accordance with KDHE requirements, blah, blah, blah.
And I think a lot of the other solar regulations, counties, they put it at 5% or less. No, not as far as the slope of the
Oh.
area.
Oh, okay.
The maximum it can be is 5%.
I'd kind of like to see that looked up for the professionals like KDH.
Sure, KDH.
Will they do that? Determine the slope?
Yeah, I think that's-
KDHE. will
I
cover
don't
it.
have the expertise to say it should be 5%.
But the
Well,
other
we could
coun-
put in a part that says, land slope issues have to meet KDHE requirements.
And the reason I bring that up is because to the north of our property, there is, it's not a mountain, but there's a big hill. And it causes runoff with nothing on the slope of that now. And when the kids were putting in their septic system, that they had a conversation with the installer about water runoff. So when you have problems with a big slope anyway, and you put the solar panels in there, it can cause some issues. So that's why I believe that there needs to be slope addressed.
Sounds like putting in making sure we're in accordance with all requirements of KDHE kind of covers that area.
I do have a question. So last meeting we did do some talk about, setbacks from roads and all that. Like, do we have those notes or do I need to restate those? I felt like we didn't really acknowledge it much, so I didn't know. Like those setbacks.
Darren, do you have those notes? I'm assuming you got those notes. It was from last meeting.
So, see it on your site, your Citizens for Linn County site, that you've got it down, so I thought maybe you do it down, because you have 25-foot setback from roads for 40 acres. Well, that's what it is for 40 acres, but you just have 25
But
setback.
we were talking about possibly changing it. That's what he's talking
But this was
about.
put out 5 days ago, so I'm just.
Of what it is, Charlene. That's the current,
That's for the 40 acres.
for the current, and he's saying he wants to
That's
change it.
450.
He's proposing something different today, right?
Yeah, well, I actually
mean,
brought it
that's
up.
what it is.
I brought it up at the last meeting. There just wasn't any acknowledgement, so I didn't know if,
What
a 2-mile setback from the boundary of federal, state, or no, not, no. 2-mile setback from the boundary of federal, state, county, and city-owned, managed, and operated lakes. 1,000-foot setback from the boundary of body of water. 4-mile setback from the boundary of the federal, state, and county, city-owned and operated wildlife ground. 3,000-foot setback from any dwelling. 1,000-foot setback from roads and non-participating landowners. 2 miles setback from the boundary of any public, private, and commercial airport. 2 miles from the boundary of any public or private school.
So what is this from?
Those are my recommendations from last one at our last meeting.
Okay. Like I say, we'll get all that duly recorded, and Dustin, it's your time to say whether you like what we've got already or whether you think something different.
Are we doing 14-901A? So having something in there that would follow KDA requirements, I think is fine. Trying to overanalyze what exactly all of those things are is outside the scope of what we're trying to do here.
Okay. Right. Okay. Final comments on 14-901.
Yeah, I guess like we go to number 3. Disturbance to the soil. Applicant shall disturb or clear the site and compact the soil only to the extent necessary as assure necessary access for construction, installation of the panels, and safe operation and maintenance. Okay, hold on. Gotta go back into another file. Talking about soil. Is that where is that a good spot for soil or the testing, or was that somewhere else?
I think we talked about it, and I still don't think we have all the literature figured out on it, but I don't know if we're gonna help with that.
It was in another section, right, Darren? On the soil contamination?
And it was that we should test it before they even start so that they would have a base test.
Yeah, okay.
Before, during, and after.
And same with water. Soil and water test before,
Yeah.
during, after.
Okay.
There's one I pulled out of a set of regulations I can send to Darren that can send out because it's pretty good. Like if there's a broken panel, it stays for more than so many days, then they're required to test that site. I think it's a pretty good example.
Yeah, we've got, it's in here, will be checked biannually for toxicity. And
But
that's,
So there's a base test too, right, before they start, because that is contaminated land in a lot of places anyhow.
yeah,
Yes, because of the current power plant.
And that land was used for industrial purpose before this.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
our land.
We're supposed to reclaim
Sure.
land, man. A lot of it.
Okay. Any comments on 14-901B?
My opinion is that that material shouldn't be in the solar panels, but, they do have panels that don't have that in them. I think it should be required, but I think that ship has sailed, so.
Okay. Got that, Darren? Dustin?
Okay, so oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dustin.
It's 408.
I think it says anything with that in it's prohibited. I'm trying to get that. to 14.
It says something about without approval, if I remember.
Panels constructed with toxic materials such as lead and cadmium are prohibited. That's 14-408A.
Then,
So really, we don't really have any need for that.
what, no, but you gotta keep reading, because it still says that they can get an exemption and just put signage up saying that there's heavy metal, there's bad materials in them.
So cadmium telluride, which is what these panels be. Panels of the only company that is relevant to these discussions right now. Because it's my understanding that there has not even been a request for a conditional use permit, but there is the promise of one. Anyway. The use of cadmium telluride in those panels is, cadmium telluride is a very stable and non-toxic compound.
If there's a fire and these things are involved in it, there's expert testimony. I have the articles, I can send it, but it goes into the air and it goes into the ground.
I've done my own research on it, and they've done analysis of what it takes to get the cadmium telluride in these panels to leach out, and it required to pulverize the panels and soak them in acid. That is not something.
Can you send that to me? Because I would really like to have that, as long as it's peer reviewed.
Actually, I like the word evidence-based better.
Well,
That's my field is evidence-based.
I was told my stuff had to be peer
Yeah,
reviewed.
it's the same thing.
All right, so we know where the opposition and the proponents are on this,
Are we still on Solio?
duly recorded. Let's move on to 1410, decommissioning plan. Basically, A is saying we got to remove all the structure and restore it to its area of its precondition construction condition. And then the actual plan and the cost has to be done by a Kansas licensed professional engineer. That's B.
Which I got a question.
Yeah.
When everybody's done, let's say one of these companies decides to just turn tail and run, and they're leaving all their stuff out there, they go broke. Companies go broke every day. What, is that bond that they put up for 110%, is that gonna take care of that?
That's what the
County
bond,
to go in and
what the
feed
bond's
that.
designed to do.
That's why they have to do this every 5 years for the decommissioning plan, because if that price keeps going up, the bond keeps going up.
Well, I didn't, that's kind of the same way as a sense of an escrow account almost, if you, to keep moving, but, okay.
I would suggest that it's at 125%
Okay.
based off other counties because of inflation, and you're gonna have 5 years in there before you redo it.
Where does it even talk about posting a bond? What number?
14-12.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm on 1410 and I'm just like,
That's where we're at. We're just kind of jumping ahead because it
1201B.
everybody's head got.
Yeah,
I thought we were on 1210 or 1410.
we are, but
We are.
all the bond stuff is on
Bond is.
Yeah.
14-1201,
Okay.
near the end. All right, so decommissioning, plan is 125%?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, moving off A and B, we got 1 through 7.
I'm
That's
personally
the-
still reading through it.
Yeah, 3 says it's the decommissioning plan is updated every 5 years, and the cost.
So a bond will be purchased by the company, but the county will not check it until every 5 years. Like, how are you gonna secure that that bond is actually being paid? How do they do that?
Well, we check. if it's being
Bondholders shall
paid every
provide the
year.
county board.
Every
annual
year,
notification.
okay, someone's checking that every year, but this will only be,
But it'll be updated for the actual
Every 5
price
years?
Every 5 years.
Bond company.
who checks those bonds?
Let's see, in here it says you need a third party Kansas engineer to re-estimate how much that's gonna cost.
So
But for the county, who
Verifies that the
verifies
bond
that
is
that's
still in
still
play.
in place. Because Johnson County is very strict on those, but
Well, in this, you want to be very strict and make sure that, I mean, I don't know. who
I just don't see that our county, I would lean towards they do not have a policy in place. I think that we need to set policy in place on who monitors the bonds, because what if they don't pay it?
It's a massive, massive undertaking.
Yeah. Do you have a recommendation about what party that would be or who that would be?
No, I don't. I just think that it's very important that someone is,
Checking that
In
yearly.
here, it says the applicants shall maintain the bond throughout the lifespan of the project, and the bondholder shall provide the county board annual notification of the bond status, and also provide the board 30 days notice of any bond cancellation.
you trust that they will
That it's-
provide it, and you trust that they'll let you know in 30 days if it's going to be canceled. I just don't trust that company. I feel like our board needs to be on top of it.
And check.
Whatever board that is, if it's you guys or if it's the commission, I don't know. If it's just David Lamb, I don't really have a recommendation.
Where'd you read that?
It is 14-1201-B.
And after one of the commissioner meetings, I think we were talking to Danny, maybe Jim, I don't know, but they felt very strongly about making sure that the decommissioning section, we were very well covered on, and that we had our I's dotted and our T's crossed.
So either the Planning and Zoning Commission can start that process, or the commissioners can start that process, or a third party. But what are you proposing?
I think that you guys should look into how Johnson County runs theirs with their
Okay.
bonds
All right.
and follow that someone else that's already done it.
Yeah.
Because we don't want the companies coming in and getting all of the subsidies and the free stuff they give everything to landowners, and then the subsidies run out and then they're gone. And then if there is no bond, it's not renewed, we don't know about it, who pays for the decommissioning?
Okay.
It's
Well,
gonna
the
be
county
us.
would, because they're not paying taxes at that point, would be my understanding.
Dustin, anything you want to add to that? From a proponent's point of view?
Of the deciding who checks the bonds,
Yeah.
I again think it's outside the scope of this document, whether it's a good idea. It probably is a good idea to ensure that the bond is still active. But we already set the requirements for it in here. We aren't setting our county, we aren't telling our county how to do business in this for the other.
Well, we're kind of at with
Well,
that. So let's check with Johnson County and some others that may
Yeah, I mean,
be ahead of us on this, and then
It
we'll,
just simply protects the county.
yeah, we'll review that when we've got that in.
I mean, if we want to jump to the 14-1201, the one thing I would change about the bond is 30 days notice of any cancellation seems too short. I think that should be 60 or 90, because they could do it right after a meeting and you might not even have another meeting. I don't know how.
So 90
long the
days.
meetings- I'd say 90 days,
Yeah,
but
okay.
that would at least give you a little bit more chance of saying that it doesn't guarantee that the bond's not going to get canceled without you knowing it, and the company,
Yep.
leave town.
What do you guys think? 90 days?
well, I have a question. Let's say that the company does go bankrupt and they had a bond, and we get 90 days notice that they're about to lose their bond. Is there any way our county can take over that
Yeah, we'd call,
for payment?
we would call the bond.
Okay,
and
I'm
you'd
just-
get the entire amount.
Okay.
It's my understanding.
And so that would 100% come to, we would get notification.
We're the beneficiary of the bond.
Okay.
So
I guess
if they cancel, the county's the beneficiary.
There's
Okay.
a question, I'm guessing. So I know in here, and I don't know, I don't have it in front of me, it speaks about like if it ceases operation or anything, but I don't know if we could call the bond
I don't know.
because of cancellation.
Well, they would be in violation of the
Not
contract
having
at that
that.
point.
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, so
Yeah, I don't.
I just don't want the county to get screwed.
I mean, that's what the bond's there to do. I'm not a lawyer either, but that's what the bonds there do, and they've done this in previous, everything in previous, so they can't have a way that easy to get out of that. There has to be protections of existing, we just don't know what
I
they are.
don't know if the county can legally do it, but an escrow account, like $250,000, $500,000, put in an account, an interest-bearing account, for the life of the system.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish that, I don't know if that's possible or not, something like that.
All right. Well considered. We'll do that.
Like instead of a bond?
No.
Oh,
Oh,
Okay.
no,
To enforce the bond.
yeah,
okay.
we just get bigger every year.
Okay, I'm still back on the 14-1001, 1 through 7.
Who sets the amount of what it's worth to decommission? Because,
A professionally licensed engineer.
okay. And the decommissioning costs will be reviewed every 5 years still? Okay.
Yeah, the update, the decommissioning costs every 5 years.
Okay, thank you.
I guess I have questions on 7,
Me too.
because with the decommissioning, the county has the right but not the obligation to undertake decommissioning financed by the financial agreement. I would think as part of protecting your county and your landowners, you would not want that as a option.
Yeah.
Because depending on who our commissioners are at the time, they could just say, well, we're not gonna decommission it. We just want the money from the bond.
You know, one of this person that helped us write this was, I mean, we went through a bid process to get this guy, and he was considered by many to be the leading lawyer. He's a lawyer, the leading legal expert on issues with solar and wind. I don't know why he put in, but not the obligation. But there may be some set of circumstances where you just wouldn't want to do that. Probably unlikely, but he probably put it in there just so we've got an out if there's one that we think we need to take.
Or, the one that I can think of is that if the company, if the applicant fails to decommission, that we would want to continue the operation of the plant, right? And sell the electricity or sell it to another party or whatever. And if you had a hard and fast, it had to be decommissioned if they quit using it.
I
Then
don't think it'd be the county's property to sell.
And then you have all the leases with the homeowners or the landowners.
I think this just written to give us some wiggle room. Decommissioning, the county has the right, but not the obligation, to undertake decommissioning financed by the financial agreement required by conditional use permit. So I think it just gives a little wiggle room to say, either you guys got to get your act together and do it, or we're going to find somebody else to do it instead of you. So it just gives them a little, like I said, wiggle room. If you want to take that out, just say so. And Dustin, you're
I think that was
representing.
a suggestion to look at, but I think that an attorney should look at that. before we take that.
Okay, that's good, Brett. That's good. Got that, Darren? All right. Any other questions on 1 through 7? Final development plan. I'm on 14-11. 14-1101. So the final development plan for a conditional use permit has to be submitted at least 2 weeks ahead of the public meeting. That's pretty much what we do already.
so here is that statement where the location with access roads is actually talked about.
G, it says stormwater, soil and water sampling plan, solar panels utilize toxic materials. Did we just say that it should have soil?
I would take out the toxic materials. We were
Right.
gonna mandate that anyway.
Yes, it should be, right?
Soil and water sampling
So-
plans.
Of solar panels? Of instead of if, and take out utilize toxic materials?
No, I think it's,
We're just gonna require.
they're gonna require soil and water sampling plan if the solar panels contain hazardous materials.
But we're requiring.
They do, they all contain them.
So we can take out the if solar panels utilize, just soil and water sampling plans,
And knock off the utilized toxic materials, because that's,
if solar panels utilize.
It doesn't matter if they do or not. We're
we're,
required.
we're requiring it. Yep. Okay. Planting schedules in there, which is covered in other areas as well. Vegetation stuff is, I should say. Project construction deadlines.
I think in the final development plan, I'd like to see maintenance building. Is this in there? I haven't read through all of it.
I'd like to see substation. I like to know how many panels in each of their sections, not just this is where the panels are gonna go. I think they need to provide maintenance and storage buildings on their site. They've got the transmission, above and ground electrical lines connecting to SCCs to any building, substation, or other location. But there needs to be the transmission line, any collectors, any battery storage.
So what Charlene does a real good job of every time we have a planning and zoning commission, we need a site plan.
I understand.
And I think we require that.
I understand that, but a lot of these things aren't even addressed in here as far as the battery storage.
But if we say we need to have a site plan that includes, and just list them all out.
That's what I'm talking about, as far as putting it in this final
Wouldn't-
development plan.
Yeah, wouldn't that be basically a site plan?
But we'd enumerate everything within a site plan we want to be sure is in there. Yeah, yeah, I think we're all in agreement with that.
Just to list out everything we need.
Yeah.
Everything.
Do you want us to say it again?
How about the final location and spacing of solar panels in all?
No, we're gonna.
Substations, battery storage, because those are huge items that we don't have any regulations on in here.
Maintenance facilities, like those are all just be another line item.
I think we should list out
Defense and
everything that,
bonds.
14501N says schematic location of solar panels, collector and feeder lines, access and maintenance roads, and other facilities associated with the SEC. The site plan. So if we were gonna elaborate on it, it's probably there.
So really, the final development plan and site plan should be kind of make sure everything's listed on site plan, and final development plan should be like the final locations more of everything listed in the site plan.
I think that's the way. They're reading that.
That kind of makes
Yeah,
sense?
they should just cross-check each other.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a really good point, and one we just need to make sure we emphasize in our final draft.
A lot of counties have also put on their site plan, like where's the water? Like if there's a fire, where are we gonna add a hydrant? Does there need to be hydrant? Also on the property lines, they have a emergency phone. I've seen that. Phone numbers to call in case of an emergency, of like how to turn off the electric in case of an accident. Are we gonna require any of that?
So let's answer your first question. 501I really covers the waterways, watercourses, lakes, ponds, wetlands, drainage districts, anything pretty much doing with water is covered in I. But I don't think we do have one.
Was yours
I know that in
water?
all conditional use permits that we do for almost everything, at least I always require, they put the emergency phone number.
So we should add that to their, or make that another item on the site plan. Contact.
You're saying
information.
emergency on the conditional use permit? And I'm saying on the property of where this is going, they require an actual phone number
I think we did put
I
that.
think that's already required.
We did put
Any energy
materials.
facility. Any
Right,
energy facility.
it
has that.
required signage for toxic materials.
And I believe somewhere in there with the signage, it said there needs to be a phone number for someone to contact. I don't remember where that was though.
But if it's not,
Okay.
Darren, our intent is to make sure it's in there and covered.
And then 14.5, the 14.5R says that such other information deemed relevant and necessary by the zoning administrator can be required in the site plan. Do we need that in the final plan as well, or is just in the site plan good?
I don't think it would hurt to have it again, but it's just copied over.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Put it both places.
Let's see where.
Basically, 501R would go in the site plan.
And then just copy and pasting that over to the final plan.
To the,
Emergency phone number, fire hydrants, et cetera.
In the Spencer County, Indiana one, they talk about for the safety and warnings, a visible high voltage warning sign, name and phone number for the electric utility operator, name and phone number for the site operator, 911 address, GPS coordinates, and a lockbox with keys as needed. And I think that's just in the event that something happens.
all right, we may steal that.
I know, like all commercial buildings are like that.
It's all required by the Corporation Commission.
So that's a law, like fire law and regulation?
Yeah.
Is that a fire law and regulation to have all of that?
The only experience I'm not on the electric side, I was on the natural gas side, but the corporation commissions for whatever state you were in, they maintained the safety regulations for all that and inspected.
You think that they would have that for solar?
I don't,
Would they have that for solar?
do have what?
Would they have the same safety measures for solar
For
as they do?
electricity.
Yeah.
For electricity, solar has nothing to do with it. It
Yeah.
has to do with the electricity and safety of the people. So if it says high voltage, they'll require high voltage signs, emergency phone numbers, fire department. They require all that, I do believe.
Okay.
Something that could be checked on, but I do believe they require that anyway.
Let's make sure we include
I was
that.
just thinking, like, if
just
it's
put it in
already
there if it's made-
required,
You can put it
we
in,
just put,
that's no
we're
problem.
following fire, whatever, electricity laws.
Get some duplicity out of it. But
And then even if it's not required for whatever reason, we still require it anyway.
Okay.
Okay, we're on 1201 now, page 14-12. Financial agreements and insurances. You guys said earlier you wanted higher than 110%, you wanted 125?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And that's the same section that has the 30-day notice.
you want to change that to 90, right?
I think they were changing that to 90.
We're gonna do 90.
On B.
What else? I like the wording in C. No refund or any balance will be made until decommissioning is completed to the satisfaction of the county board.
Yep.
Number D, I like that too. If the permit's terminated for any reason, the permit holder shall remain liable to Linn County for the expense incurred in the county in excess of the bond, or for any damage, and for any damages resulting from a breach of the condition or permit, of the permit, or any regulation in the section. I like that one too.
So I have a question. I may have asked this before. If 7 years down the road, the company goes bankrupt, you've got a conditional use permit, you've got everything in plan, and they just go bankrupt. And another company wants to come in and say, well, we'll take over the project. Does a new conditional use permit have to be applied for a different company?
Just that the
No
commission.
I think it has to be
conditional use
approved.
permit shall be transferred from one party to another
It's on the next
without the
one.
prior written approval of the county board.
So, no.
Okay.
So,
Question for Darrell. Why is that? Because on other conditional use permits, they all stay with the land.
Stays with the lane.
Probably because of what it is.
Okay.
Because if some company comes in and goes bankrupt, some other company isn't gonna assume their bond, they're gonna have to put up their own bond. Because we'll probably take that bond if something happens from the other company. So that assures that the new company would have to put up another bond.
Does the county require bonding on anything else currently?
Not that I'm aware of. Nothing that I've dealt with.
Not the rock quarries?
Quarries?
I think the rock quarries.
Yeah, I think they do. We had one of those just last meeting. So. Okay.
I know that the rock quarries have to put up a bond with the state.
Oh, okay. Anything else on financial agreements and insurances?
So who was the bond put up with? Like, what is the company that mined over in your area? That P&M or who is that?
You know?
yes.
So who was that bond put up with?
That was one of mine.
I'm just curious.
It was in the 70s and the
I was saying the
80s.
seventies, they may not have made them even be bonded.
Or made them do anything with the land afterwards.
We were lucky, we were at the tail end, so there was a lot of recommission that had to be done.
Same.
The beginning, it was horrible.
Okay, let's go to 14-13. Transfer. We've kind of talked around this. Anything else we want to change to the wording? I've got a note here on A. It says prior written approval of the county board. And then I've just added of commissioners, the board of commissioners. So there's no confusion about what board we're talking about.
What,
Say, make it not transferable at all. Because they need to, if somebody wants to come in and take over a lease, they're gonna need to communicate with the county and do the bond and what's the plan and it, yeah, they've got kind of a starting point, but stuff is already good, but it would seem like they really just need to start from scratch, given, you know, that, okay, there's assets out there and they're gonna reuse those, but what are they gonna do with them? How are they gonna use them? What state is the land in now? People walked away. What state is the soil in now? All that stuff is gonna have to be reevaluated all over again. It just doesn't make sense that it would be transferable.
I kind of agree with
I agree. I think that's good. We'll just take that out.
Because you're gonna have to do all that stuff again. So just start the communication with the county all over again so that everything's clear up front, laid out, just like this.
I wonder if it's like, you know, if ABC company decides to change their name to DEF or something, then would you?
Yeah, if they're bought out, I don't.
I mean, not necessarily bought out, but the other one's a subsidy or something.
Even if it's a subsidy company, you still kind of have to start the process because legally it's a different entity.
well, you're already dealing with that with EDF.
They're each of
They
these
have
companies, like,
3 different
10
names already.
subsidies, plus a parent company.
I think the odds of it happening are going to be extremely likely within the first 4 years.
Likely.
Yes.
So I think-
Talking from commissioners that have had it, it's a very common thing. So it needs to be planned one way or the other because I do think it will happen.
I mean, I think A, in my mind, A covers it, right? Because all of that paperwork, all of that work has already been done, and assuming that they are still following it, the commissioners are most likely going to know if there are problems there with the company, right? If there's problems with the company, they're probably being brought to the commissioner's attention. And at that point, they can say, nope, we're not doing this anymore, and then
Well,
that
here,
gives them the ability to pull it.
so what we do is, our company, we build swimming pools, high-end commercial the whole gambit. What we have happen is somebody will start a pool and the company will go bankrupt. Halfway through the process, we'll get a phone call, hey, do you want to come finish this? Which would require us to apply for our own permit to finish the project. Much smaller scale than what we're talking about here. But very rarely will we even contemplate it because we don't know what was originally done. These things have already been placed. Did they go out of business because the product is bad, because of poor management in the business? You don't know any of those things. So, I mean, according to Clearway, people will just, if we go out of business and we don't want this, people are going to come in and they're going to buy those projects up, according to what he said. I don't know whether it's true or not. I think there's too many unknowns to be able to just transfer it to another company. There has to be some stopping point in a review before it goes forward.
So,
You could put in there after review of a licensed Kansas engineer.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess one of the questionable things is they would then, so let's just say it's at year 4 and you're getting ready to redo your bond or anything like that. If they would have to assume the condition of the soil and water and everything like that, if you're going to make them do testing later on, the liability of it, to where if you made them reapply for a cup, they would know where they were starting at.
Who gets to approve the cut?
Commissioners.
Commissioners.
The commissioner, right? So they're also the ones approving whether it gets transferred or not. It just seems like we're adding additional things that could increase the likelihood that somebody else wouldn't come in and buy it.
Maybe it's so bad you don't want it. I mean,
And at that point, A takes over and the commissioners can say, nope. And then it goes into decommissioning, right?
I think, I like the idea of having engineers come in and do it. I think there needs to be a verbiage that the county doesn't pay for that. The people that want to come by the project, if the other company goes bankrupt, that they have to pay a third party for the engineering.
but if we follow Paul's suggestion and just say no conditional use permit shall be transferred from one party to another, period.
But he's arguing the opposite point. He's saying that it should be left. Am I understanding what you're saying?
I am saying that A gives us a decision point with the same people that have the decision point of whether a new cup is approved or not.
So you're,
Yes or no.
you're saying to leave it as is?
I'm saying that if we have to go back through, would they just resubmit the exact same paperwork? Or are we going to say, nope, we've already seen that paperwork, we're gonna do everything anew, which could be, I have no idea how much something like this would cost, for no other reason than we had a financial change in ownership.
If that's the reason, there could be other reasons of
I
that
know,
too.
but A
I
covers
think,
all of them.
but I think paperwork wise, you're probably correct. They probably would, like your site survey type stuff, your all of that would probably be resubmittable at that point. But like you're looking at KDHE, your soil or water testing would probably be redone because it's another entity that's going to be liable for the condition it's in currently.
They would want to know.
Yes.
So you guys are pretty much in Paul's camp.
Yes.
Yes.
I say eliminate B, C, D, and put a period
After,
after transferred from one party
okay.
to another.
So that's what the opposition would like. Dustin, you really like it the way it is?
It means I can read through the rest of it. Yeah, I like how it is. I
Alright.
think it,
So we got the two different positions recorded to be discussed later. All right, that takes us through all the code for solar energy conversion systems. We need to talk a little bit about the forum, questions we have, concerns we have, issues that we can get solved now rather than the night of. We did these, we did one of these, not quite like this, but a forum for the wind power. And it was separately seen at the Prairie School too,
It
so,
was just
Those
for
were
zoning
all-
regulations, right?
Yes.
It was just for the zoning regulations.
yeah, it's for all, it was all for all the new regulations, yeah.
Kind of turned it into wind, but it was technically for all.
It is right, you're right, I stand corrected, yeah, it was for the whole, it was for all the code.
Rich, not to interrupt you, but one thing before we get switched, if there's anything we want added, should we say it now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I do have some notes, so take me just a second, but I do have some. Battery storage would be prohibited is what I recommend.
I think we were all on the same page with that, I don't know where that
I
was.
know we said we'd talk about it.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement
I
with that,
thought we did it already, but we should make sure.
yeah.
Um,
And as I was talking with Barry offline one time, Barry said their company really doesn't like to do that anyway, have batteries on site. So that may be, we need to have it in there, but that may be something in there. not
there is
that-
a lease for battery storage.
Yeah, we already have a lease in the county for it.
Through where, either,
No,
A different company.
Different.
different company, what's the other company?
I would,
that registered deeds.
I have it, but I don't have it pulled up.
I can't remember. It's a company we never heard of.
I've never heard of it.
Um,
It's over
one
by the
thing with
power
an
plant.
extraordinary event within 3 days,
By the power plant, north of the power plant?
east,
East, I think, yeah.
East?
yeah.
For cruise attached commercial.
It just says battery storage.
So do you have land, over there? So who else is it? It's 1850 farm, or who else is it there?
I don't know, it's something like,
Olympus.
yeah, Olympus is over there. I can't remember the actual name. I have it. I'll look at it and give it to you before we leave. So an extraordinary event within 3 days of an extraordinary event, the operator shall provide written notice to the event, to the zoning and codes director, notifying the cause and the degree of damage associated with the event. Within 30 days of the event, the operator shall provide the zoning and codes director with a mitigation plan, noting the steps that will be taken to mitigate any negative impacts. Additional steps may be required by zoning and codes officers. There's some that's not really very good. The solar facility shall be reviewed for compliance with the standards of conditional use permit 1 year after release of the occupancy and every year thereafter the life of the conditional use permit. The reviews may be conducted by a third-party firm selected by the Director of Planning and Zoning Codes and financed by the operator.
Can you send that verbiage to Darren?
Which county is it?
No, I didn't save all of them.
No, I'm looking for it.
I mean, that, first blush, that sounds like good stuff to have in.
One thing that I like about something like that is if something does happen, it doesn't take a complaint for us to know about it or Darren having to check on it. Like they're actually,
Puts the ball in their court.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so it kind of saves the county of the hassle.
Yeah.
There's a few other the extraordinary events that they're labeled about the same they're just really good, I think, because it puts the ball in their court.
Yeah, send it.
What would be an extraordinary event?
So like a hailstorm, tornado, fire,
Yeah,
just things like that. And maybe we need to try to classify that a little bit better, but, I'm not saying it's perfect, but I do like it.
You guys have been watching those mudslides in California where these
Crazy.
multi-million dollar mansions are going into the ocean.
Another thing was an emergency service, fire and safety plan. A plan including all means of managing an extraordinary event at a solar installation shall include but not be limited to the following information: the project summary, electronic schematics, site plans, emergency ingress and egress with the location of access drives and width and road rating of the access drives. Emergency contact information, which will also be posted on the site, description of how the fire safety system works if required, fire protection and suppressant systems for buildings that store batteries, which we wouldn't have, site control measures. I mean, I can send this. It's basically, it's a site emergency plan,
Yeah.
basically, that then would be registered with the county, which I know in some states it's required for them to be at the local, like that to be registered with your local fire department.
Are you okay with that, Dustin?
So we have 14-9. right? The operational maintenance plan. Should we add in between 9 and 10 an emergency plan that would contain this?
I'd be good with
Because
that.
I think it's all good information to have.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they already have the maps, they already have all that stuff. They just gotta mark out what we need to do in case something bad happens.
All right.
A solar glare hazard analysis to be made before, for the permit. And then
Noise evaluation.
noise evaluation. Another one. A power purchase agreement. I would like to see that as a requirement, and an interconnection agreement.
Have you got examples?
Yes,
Okay,
I can send them over.
okay, great.
Purchase agreement we have as 14-502 or 505. I don't remember what it says.
Mark, did you pull that out?
It's a good possibility. I'll have to double check.
There's Butler and Spencer County. I think they both have them.
Dustin, I didn't hear the last thing you said.
I couldn't remember what it said, I was rereading it, but we have something on power purchase agreement in 14-5, 14-405.
We don't require it. I think we just
Yeah.
ask them to give it to us if they have it.
And they don't want to. They've already told us
You don't want to give it to them.
Don't want to give us,
where the power's going.
where the power's going.
Yeah. It's
Right,
not
Like
saying
they aren't
here.
required to
They
send
don't
the
have it.
Southwest.
Yeah.
They may not know yet.
They said they don't know. They said
Yeah,
they
but-
don't want to tell you. They told us this.
Trade
So-
secrets.
So a lot of your regulations in other places, they require a power purchase agreement and interconnection agreement that basically their cup is not valid until they do have a power purchase agreement and an interconnection. So that way something doesn't get built that they can't sell or connect.
Would you be okay with a redacted, power purchase agreement?
And the interconnection agreement.
I think that was their sticking point, is, the trade secrets and.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just, there can be things that can be withheld. I mean, lawyers can do that on the confidentiality. But I think, so I don't know how ours reads, like this one reads that, the power purchase agreement and a interconnection agreement must be obtained within 1 year of the date of the publication of approving the cup. It's out of Butler County also.
It can be redacted to provide non-confidential information.
Yeah. But I'd just like to have it as a requirement to have the power purchase agreement interconnection.
Dustin, you okay with that?
Yeah, all right.
I think the way it reads right now kind of assumes they will have one,
Right.
and that they must provide it if they do, but I'm fine with just saying you must provide it.
Yeah, we can,
I don't think that we should approve interconnection agreements with foreign entities. I don't think that we should approve cups that are foreign companies either. I don't know why we're
Giving away to other companies.
giving any consideration to foreign companies to come in here on our land. I really don't.
Is that a bill that's being fought in Topeka right now? Yeah. They're trying to get it, that it can't happen in the state of Kansas.
So they
That
don't
may-
want to tell us, but I mean, you have no idea where that power is going. It's not going to probably benefit Linn County ever in the grand scheme of things. And if we don't require it,
I mean, we're not required to do Linn County.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I don't think we should. We
Can't
could
do
go
that.
to the grid.
Right.
Can't, no way.
well, there is a way, but I'm not saying I agree with it. I just, there were other options with solar, how it could benefit the citizens. We've looked past that and gone commercial when we could have looked at community solar gardens and things that would actually benefit the citizens. We have never even talked about that. Like how, their power purchase agreements They could stay local if you wanted it to. It could stay local.
I think the idea or the reason that we want this is because it's bringing money from outside the county to inside the county. Right? And that's what we would be doing. We're to do the same thing in farming, right? We don't eat all of our own food. We export it. And that's how we, that's how a large percentage of us make money is by exporting food.
I'm just saying we've never had a conversation at all about how it was going to benefit the county in general, or
And
how solar could have benefited.
It's kind of murky
citizens.
because the money is not guaranteed. You can't negotiate a pilot. A lot of the counties that are bringing this in are telling us, you really need to watch what you think you're going to get versus what you actually get.
So when a contract is written, you don't think that's good?
Actually, the contract is good, so it's before the contract. So the best way to describe it is, if, say, the moratorium was lifted in Linn County right now, and Clearway's proposed roughly 420,000 for a pilot agreement. So if they did come in for a cup, and then during the time of the cup, they will more than likely offer their pilot agreement. Could be 420,000. They could offer 100,000, right? But we cannot deny a cup based on a non-agreement of a pilot. So potentially we could not get paid for 10 years. That's what happened to Harvard.
And potentially that could also happen. The legislature says the county has no right to do this, and the company could just say, so, she can do it anyhow. So I mean, that's that option. But I see what you're saying there, but I think that there's enough leeway in what we look at, that if they weren't offering anything, it could be the norm. I don't.
We can't
think
deny it
You can't
due to
deny them off
non-agreement.
that legally.
We can't.
There's
But what we're saying is you're dealing with these multi-million-dollar solar companies, foreign solar
Or-
companies.
Here's a better example. This has been talked about in commissioner meetings. Let's just say it gets passed to you guys and it goes to the commissioners, because my understanding, the planning and zoning won't negotiate the pilot, the commissioners will. If we have a commissioner that wants $10 million and another commissioner is backing them, they won't ever pay the 10 million, or requirements of a hotel or anything. If they don't come to agreement, they cannot deny the conditional use permit
Based on that.
based on the financial of the pilot.
so I hope the commissioners know.
But if they don't bring a good offer, then you're out of luck to begin with. I know you guys think I'm crazy about all of it, but I've talked to several commissioners, and I'll share the info if anybody wants it, that they can call and talk to them in Texas.
Well, I'm just trying to understand, do you guys believe that or not? Do you believe that if you give a recommendation for a cup and it goes to the commissioners on a solar cup and they are like, all right, fine, it's good, it's approved. Now they get to start discussing the pilot, right? Am I still on the right track of how this is going down?
I don't know, Aaron, Darren.
Okay,
do you
so
know?
now you have commissioners, 3 commissioners
Right.
with Clearway or whoever at the podium. They're presenting on the board what they want, like they did a few weeks ago. This is the pilot they're proposing. There's back and forth, and they don't agree and vote on anything on that pilot. They just don't agree. We could end up as a county as a whole not getting anything for 10 years.
And this is.
And I'm just trying to figure out if you guys agree with that or no. Like, do you think that that's not accurate, or do
I
you?
think that could happen with our commission.
Okay. I mean, seriously, I'm just saying that's how it's been presented to us. And so I just want to make sure, like, we can't go in there and be like, we want 5 million. We want a hotel. We want a McDonald's. We can't do that because they're not going to give us that. We've had conversations with Clearway. That's unreasonable to them.
But I think the other side of it is to look at, the longer we postpone this, do this, the legislature, and nobody listens to me, the legislature is gonna do what they did with towers, they're gonna do what they did with feedlots, and they're gonna say, the county has no right to put any regulations on it. It's there, you get nothing.
That's not what the state
they
of
could.
Kansas is trying to do
Or
right
they
now.
could put their own regulations.
Yeah,
on
I
it.
mean, they're trying to put very strict regulations into place right now. Whether it passes or not, I don't know, but I mean, we've seen the proposals.
Right, but that's not,
So you want to get this through before we get legislature coming down on this, basically.
basically,
Okay.
because I think it'll happen and we won't get anything.
Because you think that we're trying to supplement 16 million that we're getting from the power plant every year. Okay. And you're trying to,
We don't get 16 million.
we absolutely do.
Okay, 16.6 comes from the utilities, 40% of that goes to the counties, 40% goes to the schools.
Mark,
I got you.
pull it up.
I have it right here from today.
Thank you.
If
I won't argue. I'll let him give you the actual facts on that one. But
I talked to David Lang the other day and he's not 16.6 million, so.
No, it's 50.
15.5 was
I-
2023.
All utilities in the county.
No, so just from the power plant. So just from the power plant the problem is I don't have or all three districts with me. I have just Lincoln Township with me. Just Lincoln gets $14,511,937.16.
Right.
$234,128 goes to the state. $6,398,276 goes to the county. $70,863 goes to Lincoln. $6,904,462 goes to Prairie View. $257,854 goes to the rural fire. $9,365 goes to Cemetery District 1. $458,892 goes to Library 2. $61,029 goes to Lincoln Scott Hospital District, and $117,064 goes to Extension District 16, which I don't.
So you said 6 million something goes to the county, correct?
$6,398,276.
So you're getting closer than saying 16.6 million to the county and what we're gonna get, 6 point.
Well, you have to understand though, just from the power plant out of that district, you get 14,511,000.
What do you think is going to
That goes-
happen to Lacine?
Not directly to the general fund of the county.
It doesn't have anything, because it doesn't have anything like that. So I guess what'll happen to.
Pleasanton does get payments from Evergy for either
Transmission and substation lines.
substations.
Not very much though.
Yes,
Not like-
Yeah, I mean, it's not comparable to that.
So I mean, the other counties, Jayhawk, right, they don't get anything either like that.
They get
So,
some.
I mean, I guess what'll happen to Prairie View and the library and all that up there, when they lose the power plant, is they'll be like all the other towns in Lee County.
With the solar that's proposed right now, that Jayhawk and Pleasanton and Mountain City won't get any of that.
Actually, with the solar that's proposed right now, the pilot will go directly to the county and nothing will go to the school district. Or the county has the right to send something to the school district or the library,
It's
but
not
they don't.
required.
That's a county commissioner decision,
Yeah,
correct?
The first 10 years.
Right.
But year 11 through 35,
you're back to the same.
back to the just providing Prairie View with things. I mean, I just,
Right, so I mean, actually, when you guys are fighting about EDF over there, you're fighting to not give money to your school district
not necessarily at all.
after 10 years.
So they are what, 800,000? Is it 800,000? So you'd have to do the math on how much actually would come to the schools. I mean, you can bring that to me if you want, but yeah, I mean, I
I don't
think
know
the
what
first.
EDF is doing, so I can't do that, because
I don't know either. I don't have an in with them. I don't
The
talk
only
with
thing
them.
that EDF, I had a conversation with them a couple weeks ago when they were sending out letters to all the landowners saying that there'd be surveyors out there, and I called them, and they told me word for word, it doesn't matter that there's a 1-year moratorium. This project is going in down there. That's what he told me.
That's what he told you. I know that, that man said that today, or, commission meeting, he got a letter saying that.
Well, it says it in the letter, but I picked up the phone and I actually had the conversation. And I said, there's a moratorium. He's like, well, yeah, but that's just until we can, when we can apply for a conditional use permit. And we will be doing that, and this project will be going in down there. I don't know how he knows it, but he was very, Very, very rude.
So we got a half hour left, and I want to get to a couple of issues. Really need to talk about the site visit and how that went, and what the impressions were. And then we really need to talk about anything we might anticipate and be ready for at the forum.
All right,
So let's do it.
I got a few really key ones.
Wait a minute, what, key ones on what?
On adding the regulations.
Okay, let's,
Hold on, are we gonna, like, we'll finish up today and then not have a meeting until after the
then we're done.
forum?
We're done with what the commissioners told us to do. And I'll go back and say, here's what we've got. Where do we go from here?
Okay, well then, yeah, I really want to have this 500,000 foot thing figured out. Because I was under the impression that we agreed that it was 1,000 foot from a property line as far as where a solar,
And what do you want?
1,000 feet from property line.
Okay, all right. You got that?
I think 1,000 foot from public roadway also. So property value impact assessment.
I mean, if you go 1,000 feet from every public road, then you're reducing the amount of solar panels that any given piece of land can have by.
That's the
So if
point.
you do like a section and you do 1,000 foot setback, it equals out really close to the 50% that's allowed. So if we're gonna only allow them to use 50% on prime farmland, I think having that 1,000 foot as a buffer is a no brainer.
Okay, duly recorded. Dustin? Proponent's point of view?
I do have a map if you want to see it.
And so why 1,000 feet for any roadway?
So this is saying that we keep the setbacks at a tiered level, right? But we're removing section C from all of them, which was the minimum or the distance between the SECs. Then I would say we leave them as written.
Okay. So we got your point of view, and we got the proponent's point of view.
I thought at one time we talked about getting rid of the tiers. Does anybody remember that?
I think we did. I think
We talked about it, but no decision was made. So
Nothing's been
it was-
decided, I mean, that's just an option.
And after the forum, we're gonna go over this again, because I don't think that anyone really made a decision after the forum.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because I don't really agree with the 1,000 feet, and I don't think that's what we need.
Well, again, the charge for us was to go with the code. We've done that. We're completing that tonight. I will go to the commissioners and say, here's what we have. Where do you want us to go?
And I think.
No, I don't agree with that.
It should first off go over the comprehensive plan and go over the regulations and decide how those mesh.
We're doing the forum because of the comprehensive plan states a percentage that's higher no's versus yeses. So I don't understand. Honestly, I am just kind of like, I'm not understanding tonight at all. Like the whole charge from you. I really don't get it. You know, we've had great conversations throughout this entire time, I feel like. And so, yeah, you're pushing it and then we're going to go and we're going to do the forum. I thought we were supposed to figure out for the forum, like, what everybody wanted and then take that into consideration, like Paula talked about, as, you know, people were against it or not versus what the comp plan stated. So now I'm getting from you the vibe that ad hoc is done right after tonight. I'm just not understanding.
We'll see where the commissioners want us to go after tonight.
Yeah, well, the last time you went into the commissioners meeting, to me, I don't feel like you addressed them correctly. I don't feel like you said what you said you were going to say. So I have concerns with that because it makes it look like we aren't getting along or we're not agreeing on something. So I would just like to have
And I thought
all that
I thought
addressed
the
before we
point of
leave
the
tonight.
Forum was to let people stand up and say, hey, we like this. Hey, we don't like that. We were going to have the articles as they were originally written there for them to look at and say, this is good, this is bad. I don't want this, I want this. We need this, I don't want it.
Also, I am not okay with you as a chairman sitting up there and telling people when they come to the podium that if we've already heard it, we don't want to hear it again. No, if everybody has the same concern,
Okay.
they should be able to speak
So that's the kind of
whatever
stuff
they want.
I want to get done tonight. So,
Well-
okay, so I hear you on that.
All right, so just,
What I'm what I heard from the commissioners, and I do, I sit there and I listen to those commission meetings over and over and over.
Well, we're there, so we here too.
But I
Yeah.
do too.
Okay.
I understand that the way Rich says, that they wanted us to get this done. And that they're frustrated that we haven't got this done.
I don't hear that at all.
Well,
They were
I
frustrated.
don't know what
that we
meeting
had
you're
to-
listening to.
All right, all right.
That's not it at all.
Hold on, guys. I think everybody's getting a little upset. I do know when we first started this project, we talked about going through the regulations. If there was stuff to add, we'd add it when we could. If not, we can add it at the end. We also talked about once we got all the way through it, we'd do the red line and go back through and get everybody's, make sure we covered everything. I also know we talked about the form to figure out the citizens do or don't want it, and it could bring things that we would want to put into the regulations.
To light.
Also, yes, also with that, I've been told multiple times if we think there should be a prohibition that we need to present our facts on it. I haven't even done that part. And I feel like this whole time we've had time and everybody's been okay with taking our time till tonight. And I'm not okay with that. I think a meeting afterwards, and it may take a couple. Oh, trust me, I don't like coming to these meetings personally, but I don't want this left the way it is. And I think there's plenty of people here that are willing to give the effort to make sure things get done correctly. I don't see any reason to say it's done tonight. There's no reason to come back and the ad hoc is done, because I feel like we are part of this process and the commissioners did give us that. And I would request that after we do come back, we review it. If there's anything that still needs to be added, we can, because I didn't even come with all my literature tonight, because when I had emailed Darren, he said he thought we were still working on setbacks. So I just feel like I got really rushed tonight, and I've been very not happy sitting over here all night. So I know I missed a lot of things because of it. So that's just where I sit with it.
All right, where's the rest of you seeing?
What you said was, they're gonna take it back to the commissioners and see what they wanna do.
But we're not.
Why? We've already figured out what they want to do. They've already stated it. They wanted everyone's opinion. They want the forum. I mean, why are we going back right now?
They're even
They're
talking
having
about
a vote.
I'm saying I don't know when you're planning on going back. I was understanding you were going to go back Monday. Am I wrong?
To the commissioners?
Yeah.
I hadn't really decided, but Monday's
Okay.
the first.
Well, I would have assumed that we're not ready to go back to the commissioners. We still have a forum that we're going to be at. And then you're going to have another meeting after the forum. And that's when I thought we were going back through the red lines together.
'Cause there's a
Don't know
lot-
what
lot of
happened
different-
tonight, but I mean, I don't know.
There's a lot.
I'm lost.
There's a lot.
It will be made by the planning and commission board.
No, this right
I'm
here,
talking about this
you guys,
This is a work group. We can't make decisions in a work group. No, just-
but they said in the commissioners meeting that we can make decisions on what we do here, right? And also my commissioner, he has been very opinionated on us having a voice, having a chance to speak. He has stated that over and over and over again. Same with Jim, pretty sure that we get a chance. This is our only chance. So you guys have to look at that situation. This is our only chance to voice our opinions. So give us a chance, because if you leave one more stone unturned, it's not going to go down very well. That's truly what I feel.
Okay, Rich, I don't feel comfortable sending off these kind of half-baked regulations off to the commissioners.
No, I don't have.
I think that we should continue with this ad hoc committee until after the forum, have another meeting next week, or maybe not, I don't know, depends on the schedules. And then actually come to a decision on what we want. We can't actually vote, of course.
It'll be the planning commission next week.
We can come to
We can
consensus.
have a
We've
conversation.
had common ground this entire time. That you've said it every night except for tonight. Come to the common ground, right?
We've had three meetings.
That's
We've had three meetings where you actually said,
Yeah.
I'm for a total ban, but as a backup plan, I'll agree to this and this and this. I mean, so.
did say
That's
that.
not a bad thing to be.
What do
that way.
you want me to come in here and be argumentative on every single thing?
We got it.
Here, I'm gonna bring this to where we were talking about at the very beginning, the site, when we went out and looked at the county. And I know that not everybody was there. And I live in that part of the county, and I can tell you that I drive those roads every day, and it had such a major impact on me. I didn't talk to her for 2 days because she was upset, because when I look at all the roads, especially the Clearway project, and you just drive and you drive and you drive for miles, and you just imagine these massive solar panels, and then you take the road where your house is, you take the road, you sit in front of where your grandchildren are going to be, and I have to sit in here and say, you're going to have 500 feet from your home where you can play at because the solar panels are right there. I would have never given that land to my kids if I knew it was going to be surrounded by solar panels. We have lived here for over 20 years, and this is very emotional. We spend probably 25 to 30 hours on top of our jobs dealing with this. And coming in here every week and telling you how important this is to the people that live down there, and nobody cares. Nobody, it's like, we'll move on to that. We'll circle back to that. And I want to feel like we are being heard here, because there's a lot of people down here that live in that area that feel the exact same way as we feel. And we were given this opportunity to speak our minds. Do I want to have it not by my home and surrounding my grandchildren? Absolutely. But I am willing to negotiate in good faith and make different arrangements with these regulations if it has to come here. And I think that's fair. And I think that if it was surrounding anybody else's house, you might feel that way too. That's how I feel. So I understand what she's saying, because this is so emotional to us. And I'm really trying to not break down and cry, because I don't want to. We are here. We are working hard every day to get whatever facts we can get. If I thought that putting massive solar farms around my property was going to help my grandchildren, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I don't feel that way. So I have to come in here to make sure that they are protected. So that's why I am sitting here. I don't want it, but I am operating in good faith, trying to do something better for the county if this has to come in. We are looking at everything. The power plant shutting down, bringing additional power sources in. We look at everything. So I'm just asking for there not to be this push today that it's going to end, because I have all these notes about, well, we'll circle back to that. We'll circle back to that. And we're not circling back to any of that because it's changed today. So that's my piece. I thank you.
So I'd like to add, I have a few things I want to add to the regulations that I would like everyone to discuss, and not just wait until we're ready to vote as a board and then I have to plead my case. I'd like to actually have a discussion about it and make it we can't make an actual decision, I know that, I'm aware, but come to some sort of agreement that this isn't something that we all are at least halfway okay with, instead of having one side that's very against something and one side that's for, and then we just kind of throw it at the county board.
And actually, the decisions aren't necessarily that. The decisions that need to be based on the comprehensive plan. Okay? I mean, they need to be based on.
And right now, what we have is just one person's opinion and one person's opinion. And I don't think that's something we need to take to the county board yet. I think we need to actually discuss it and come to a half-decent conclusion.
And it has to be based on like.
I've got two things. One, I did bring up the setback on the Meridian Wildlife and how the Cheyenne Bottoms has one, and we did talk about if we need to reach out to those entities to come and speak. So I'm curious where we're at on that. Also, I'd like to know what Paul's opinion is on where we go.
I was going to say the same thing, Paul. What say you?
I think just to make sure that nothing is lost in translation, we've got to reconcile red lines with the conversation, and just to make sure nothing got lost along the way. And that's going to require at least another meeting or two, I think. And there are some things that just we thought were being left till the end, and now we're at the end. And so when are we going to have that conversation? I mean, I remember having a conversation with Mark that, he was asking when should we bring these things up? And what we told him at that point was that there would be opportunity at the end. So I think it's fine to tell the commissioners we've plowed through and we've got rough draft, but I don't feel comfortable having that being any kind of final format without at least seeing what Darren has and having that cycle completely back. Because, I mean, I've got scratches all over the place from both sides, and I might remember, but until we get, a complete document that's been marked up officially, I'm going to be hesitant to go back to planning and zoning. And I want to, because I'm going to have to chair the meeting. I want it to be really clear, where we're at, where we've made changes, what decisions we've got left to make, and just to make sure those.
Morning, Lisa.
I'm in favor of waiting until after the forum to do anything and present the commissioners with a final, or at least a draft that we feel is ready for.
After we've had a chance
Yeah.
to write the draft, review the draft,
Yes,
and then go.
get the information we can from the forum and come back together and see with these folks and see what we can work out, because I think it'd be.
I think, as I heard you right, I mean, that's basically what you two would like to do too.
Yeah, after the forum, have at least one more meeting to kind of round out the edges and get a draft, and then
So the draft, will it be formed before the planning commission sits there and goes over the comprehensive plan to see how it fits with the regulations? Or, I mean, cause I see that as being a very important part of it.
It'll be drafted when it's drafted. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna be a bystander on your guys' meetings. I'll definitely come watch. But I'm just gonna guess you guys probably won't do that in one meeting. On voting on, I don't know,
Have
but
to go through each one.
there's a lot of changes in there. I don't think there's any way you'll do it in one night. That's just my recommendation. I think realistically, you still have a good month, so I'm just. And that's at a bare minimum.
Okay, so what I hear the commissioner saying is that we need to let Darren do the work on the red line. We need to go over that. We need to come to agreements on what it is. And once we've got that in writing and everybody's had a chance to review it and finally agree to it, that's,
If they write it, we don't even have, we're not even talking yet about the scientific survey, which I would like to see then, because I think that that's probably gonna get the most accurate information of what the county is.
So as far as the red line, I can't even do a red line yet because I'll have 500 red lines because Mark just came out and wants all these setbacks. There's gonna have to be some consensus with this board before a red line can be done. Because I can go through and put all these in, but what will the vote be
I
on?
felt like.
This red line, this red line?
Right. I mean, up in two setbacks, we had a pretty good consensus of moving forward. I do know we hit some barriers there. We did do the drive about, which I do think helped. I'm not opposed to I wasn't here, I guess, when all that started, but I know we had three meetings that didn't go all the way as planned, but we did spend a lot of time on doing the draft for the letter, all of the sign proposals, the meeting itself, everything, to where I don't think we were at a standstill by any means. I'm more than willing to work through them the way we were, make sure everything's right. That's my biggest thing. We have time to make sure it's right, and I don't think anybody here is against that.
I think just the buffer is what we really need to go back towards. I don't think there was too much disagreement on anything past that. At least that was my opinion.
I think you're right. The major differences are the setbacks and the distances, but there are other things that.
I think we'll just want to check the red line, make sure that something didn't get lost. I don't think that review of the red line is going to be nearly as lengthy of what we've just done, but.
No, and my point is, I've just gotta have something to red.
Right.
Because I can't red line it all, because then that's just, I don't want to say wasted work.
Right.
Until there's a consensus on something,
You can't red lines.
there's no agreement on it.
Right.
When we eventually vote, it can't be one person wants this thing and then one person wants that thing. We need to have one
Thing.
plan to say yes or no.
Okay. We're in complete agreement. I know that.
Well, the forum's in a week and a half. And then there's the Wednesday after that. I mean, I have in my notes, like I said, I wasn't prepared to finish everything tonight, but that we did have some areas that I have circled back by. If you want, if we do meet the Wednesday after the forum, we could email over to Darren the items that we talked about, circling back to that we would like to be brought up, so everybody knows ahead of a time.
I don't know, this is an idea. You can kick me out of the room if you want. Just like Mark's stuff on these setbacks. I can put this all together and make bullet points. Present them to you guys, and you guys just say, no, I don't like that. Yes, I like this. No, I don't like that. And whatever discussion in there, you have that short discussion and then make a decision on it versus, you know, because I've even heard you two disagree on stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a fact that we've got to come to a consensus. If I've got what you guys want, and I can sit here and say wildlife setbacks or wildlife corridors and have a consensus on it and everybody go, oh, okay, have a discussion on it. I think that'll keep the meeting moving.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, well, Mark wants this, Charlene wants this, Paul thinks we need to go outside and walk around the building. Or, I mean, whatever it may be, that way we've got more of a focus and we're moving forward. If that makes sense. Now do you want me to leave?
No,
No, it's not a bad idea by any means.
So Emily, you were saying, let's do the fourth forum and get back together on the 6th and go through the work that,
and have a conversation about how the forum went. If it was like, oh my gosh, everybody's here and they want solar. Oh my gosh, nobody wants solar. There's mix, there's, you know, you never know what anybody's gonna say.
Or they may say, we really want it, but we want it, I don't know. It's got to have apple trees around it.
and are you envisioning us just staying with the Wednesday night meetings until we get everything decided?
That's fine.
Okay.
So no next Wednesday, wait for the forum and do
Wait for the forum.
2 weeks.
Then we'll meet on the 6th and the Wednesdays thereafter until we're done.
I say it shouldn't take much, but
Famous last
trying to
words.
be optimistic.
So the next Wednesday would be the 13th, and the next Wednesday would be the 20th, and the next meeting would be the 27th. Okay. Still want to talk about the forum. Is there things we need to be making sure we've got our ducks in a row?
Did the county board agree to live stream that?
They were working on it,
Yeah.
they said.
Not yet.
I know it was mentioned, but I didn't get clear yet.
Hopefully Monday. I know as of right now, Chris will have to look for a way to do it because we don't have equipment to take up there to do it. And without that ability, it's-
And I don't think
Because
it was
we-
mentioned, but
I mean, because we could take a computer and set up there, then there's no mics, you can't hear people talk. So there's a lot of points that Chris has brought up. So we're still working.
I don't use fragrance wax. So,
Charlene, I do have it in front of me now, so, just so everybody kind of knows. Spearmint Renewable Development Company, and the lease is with Circle 6,
rural development.
yep, Circle 6W. That's who owns it. Next there is the one, they don't have actual leases, they just talk to everybody. Well, nothing filed. We don't know if we should, because it's not been filed.
So back to the forum, we're going to ask them to give it their name, where they live, what else, Darren? Well, anyway, my point is, the 2 minutes shouldn't start until they're done with their introduction.
Okay.
Somebody could get long-winded about who they are and what they're doing. They got 30 seconds to get to say something. I don't think I want that. Give them 2 minutes to talk. And I heard loud and clear that it's their 2 minutes. They can talk about whatever they want. And I shouldn't be restricting anything that they want to say or how they say it. So
It's not 10 minutes, it's 2 minutes. That goes
2.
by really quick. Yeah, I know.
And they said,
I do think there shouldn't be any clapping or booing from the audience. There should be no, that should be asked, because that's really intimidating to people that, somebody gets up there, everyone claps, and that person, the next person has an opinion that's the opposite.
And it takes out time of that 2 minutes, because we can't just hit
Right.
pause during the.
we all okay with that?
I'd say ask for no noise from the audience, including clapping or anything. In between for respect of people and time saving.
Yep.
That way people really understand it.
Right.
they said in the commissioners meeting, asking for some sort of sign up to come out with a poll. What they want is an ad hoc poll.
They wanted a sheet
Yeah.
with the name and address and the yes or no, right?
Yeah, they're taking a poll by having people sign a sheet when they talk or before they talk, or I was confused.
That's sort of redundant to what we have, but that would be okay if the sheet.
It wasn't clear from,
What I understood was they asked if we could have a sign-up sheet when people walk in the door, name, address, relationship to the county, for, against, or neutral.
That's what I.
does that drive the talkers or is that just taking a poll?
They never said.
Yeah, what it says right here is must include their position as a proponent, opponent, or neutral to solar development.
That's for the.
Set at the door, I guess, is something to show.
The sign up sheet, or just the
Right.
entry sheet, I guess.
We do have one meeting, I guess we can always ask for clarification.
Yeah.
Sometimes clarification gets pretty muddy.
What's the question?
Oh, no, he was saying on clarification with their sign-up sheet. I said
With the
sometimes
commissioners.
clarification gets muddier.
It's not clear whether that's the driver for the speakers or if they're just trying to take a poll.
And I'm not sure, did they make a decision on that, or that was just one person's opinion?
That was just,
Talking.
that was just talking, so I think the sign-up sheet should be name, address, for, against, neutral, relationship to the county, if you own land, because there's probably gonna be people that come that have an opinion that's not gonna speak.
Right.
And you're gonna be able to get that opinion based off of a sign-in sheet.
So if you have, I'm sorry, but if you have people, they're like, in the advertisement of the meeting, it's like, you can submit an email with this information. So if they do that and then they come to the forum and they write yes or no or neutral, will you cross-reference them so we know? Or I guess it doesn't really matter. It's not a binding thing.
Because they could have a yes or no.
Yeah, there's gonna be some work after this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't just have people coming up randomly. You're gonna have to call on them, aren't you?
So I don't know if we ever discussed that. We've got this, but if people show up and raise their hand and want to speak, are they gonna be able to speak?
I think that was a consensus.
If they feel that.
Yeah, my understanding, the way, when we wrote the ad was you didn't have to pre-submit whatever you were gonna say.
Right.
You can come and just talk. If you would prefer to write it down or email it, you can.
Right.
I was just thinking it might be easier to know the people that that wanted to speak. Then you could go down a list if you want, but.
Then you might have people that change their mind and say, I really want to get up and say something.
Or don't.
Or don't.
We've seen
Yeah,
that.
that happened too.
Well, I think that, someone like that, toward the end of it, you could always say, is there anyone else would like to make any further comments or something?
But we already sent out the ad
Yeah.
thing that you don't have to sign up ahead of time. You just have
Oh, yeah.
to. I think
I just thought
switching that around a week and a half out's not
I'm thinking that Rich will get up there and kind of give the bylaws of the meeting and then say it's the, whatever, I know we picked the order on what it was, proponents. time to start.
Proponents, neutral, and
So
opponents.
we'd ask for the proponents to start, someone walk up, and then as soon as they're done, we'd say time up next, and I'm imagining people are gonna try to make it in a timely fashion. We can only hope. And then I think after that, then the questions will ask, then you'd say, all right, now the opponents or neutral, however it's worded. I can't ever remember.
And then the final thing is all questions from the Planning and Zoning Committee will be held until each of the three groups has finished their presentations. Waiting for the entire group to present before questions may eliminate questions which could be answered by other presenters and save time.
It's gonna be after each individual group.
Once the
Not all
opponents,
groups.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
until
the
each of the
letter
three
four.
groups is finished. So, well, it says all questions from P and Z committee will be held until each of the three groups has finished.
That'd be the end.
Right, but after proponents, there's questions after opinion.
Questions.
That'd be at the end of the day.
And that way we may save some time on some of the questions.
Time bound? Is each section time bound? Is the whole meeting time bound?
No.
But we're gonna be
No.
there till 5 in the morning.
We've said, everybody wants to talk, gets to talk, and we just be there until it's done.
And just the board will sit up top.
Whoever shows up.
You guys got it.
It's fine. Okay,
Mark, will you get me that stuff? That way I can put it together.
All my recommendations.
I'll put it together.
I'm gonna have to clean some of it up because some of it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Well, and some of it,
I say some of it, but Butler County, Harvey County, stuff like that. I'll get it to you. It's probably gonna be a few days.
that you're fine.
I'm swamped right now.
all right, I think we're done. Motion to adjourn?
Can I motion?
No, Chevy.
Well, I didn't know on that.
Elizabeth said adjourn. Second? Paul, second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Adjourn.